Bryan Danielson, you definitely want to tune in because it will. Let's be honest, will most likely be his last match on national TV.
Welcome in, guys, to the all-new Takedown on SI YouTube channel here. Rick Ucchino with Sports Illustrated, and you know my guest at this time. He is the former Ring of Honor World Champion and the man who broke the hearts of many in the city of Chicago just a few weeks ago from All Elite Wrestling, Claudio Castagnoli. What's going on, good sir? How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Really, really excited to get to chat with you here today. And yeah, I want to dive into what we saw take place at All Out in Chicago. I was there in person right after Bryan Danielson had retained the AEW World title, and he's got Blackpool Combat Club all around him. And I could feel it in the air at the time. There was something in the air. There was a tension there. I feel like the crowd was waiting for something to happen. I don't think people were anticipating you being the one firing the first shot and knocking Bryan Danielson down on the ground before John ultimately did what he did. What was the experience like for you in the lead up to that moment? Could you feel the tension in the arena that night?
Yeah, I mean, Chicago is always special. You know, Chicago has a very rich wrestling history, and there's always that flair of something special in Chicago. So you can definitely feel that the crowd, you know, was on edge.
What was it like in the moment, you know, for you after you hit the uppercut on Bryan, and you just see the shock look on his face, but also that it's like the oxygen was just sucked out of the arena, you know? So what was it like in that moment standing in the ring as everything was going down?
I mean, you know, personally, you never really want to do something like that, right? I mean, that, you know, I've known Bryan for such a long time, almost my whole career. So, um, you know, definitely wasn't easy, but you know, certain things just have to be done, and yeah.
So tomorrow night, or well tonight, when this runs, you're going to be in a tag match. It's going to be you're going against Bryan Danielson and Wheeler Yuta in that tag match. You know, Bryan has talked openly about as soon as he drops the AEW World Championship, his full-time career is done, which could very well happen Saturday at WrestleDream. So this very realistically could be the final time that you are ever in the ring with Bryan Danielson, somebody that you've known for a very long time. You know, how does that, you know, as his career starts winding down here, and this could be ultimately the last time you ever get a chance to lock up with him in that capacity, you know, what does that kind of mean to you? How are you feeling about that?
I think it's going to be very emotional. I was in Bryan's last match before when he was forced to retire. There was a tag match as well, and I was in it. I was in London, England, and this I think will be on a little bit different terms. I mean, obviously, like I said, it's going to be very emotional if that's the last time I'm going in the ring or standing across the ring from Bryan. You know, it's gonna be special. Obviously, I got to make sure that he makes it to Saturday, to WrestleDream. That's very important.
You have been in AEW for, you know, a little over 2 years now, and you came in and immediately you were, you know, locked in with the Blackpool Combat Club. Being involved in Bryan's final run here, heavily involved in getting to work with him over the last 2 years in this stretch where he has arguably been doing the best work of his career. What has that meant to you?
You know, Bryan is always trying to compete at the top of his abilities, and he's never gonna hold back. He's always gonna leave every single thing that he has in the ring, no matter if that's good or bad for his personal future. So it has been very inspiring to be in the ring and near the ring with him while he is having the last year that he wants to. But it's also been kind of bittersweet to see what he went through and has to go through on a daily basis just to get there.
You know, it's you look at, obviously he's in a lot of pain with the neck. He's talked openly about having needing to have neck surgery sooner rather than later. So, you know, like you said, what he has to go through, I can't even imagine, but he's still going out there and performing at a high level. Jon Moxley is also somebody who is performing at arguably the highest level that he's ever been. I feel like the Jon Moxley that we have seen since he returned a few weeks back is the Jon Moxley that we've all wanted to see. Like, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like this is peak Jon Moxley, the best version of him that we have ever seen. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I feel Jon Moxley is more Jon Moxley than we've seen him in a very, very long time. I feel he needed that time off to kind of reconnect with himself and find his purpose, so to speak, or regain his purpose. Because I feel like, I mean, I can just speak for myself. I can't speak for Jon, but I felt like for the last couple of months before he came back, it was, you know, we always have to be real on our shirts, and it wasn't. Didn't really felt real. It felt like, okay, we're just kind of going through the motion. Not in the moment, obviously. Like, it doesn't mean I've ever taken it easy, but like, looking back, I'm like, something was missing. And with Jon, I can definitely tell that since he came back, he found that fire again.
And he didn't come back alone. You know, Marina Shafir, her addition to the group, I think, has been particularly interesting to watch. How do you feel she fits in?
I mean, she's a killer, so I feel like she fits in great.
I remember having a conversation with Renee Paquette when you first came in to AEW and you joined up with the Blackpool Combat Club, and we both agreed that was a prime fit. Like, it was like duck to water. Like, this just made total sense, and this was a version of Claudio Castagnoli we were really, really excited to see. What has being involved with this group, going back to when, you know, William Regal was involved, and like I said, getting to work with Bryan and Jon and you know, bringing up Wheeler Yuta, what has that done personally for you as a performer?
I learned a lot. I mean, just being around, you know, Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley, who are two of the, if not the two best in the world, and then William Regal, who obviously influenced so many people in the world of wrestling, and then being able to help somebody young like Wheeler kind of find his way. You know, I always say that if you have success, you want to have success with your friends, because there's somebody there to share it with, and that's why I think the BCC was special.
Bryan Danielson has always spoke very highly of you. He did an interview a few months back where he said he really hopes that you get to have a run one day with the AEW World Championship. I think just a few weeks ago on a separate podcast with Rikishi, Mick Foley kind of echoed those sentiments, saying that he wished you had gotten a run with the WWE Championship, you know, back in the day. Is, you know, over the course of your career, is that something that you still aspire to? Is it something that you prioritize, winning world heavyweight championships, or, you know, where does that kind of fall in what you want to do and what you want to accomplish in your career at this point?
I mean, it has been a goal, right? I mean, everybody should aspire to be the world heavyweight champion. I think I may have realized as I'm getting older that single-minded focus can actually be a big detriment to me. Not everybody is the main character. Not everybody can be the hero of the story. So to me, it is, how can I make an impact, the most impact? Because I don't need a championship to be the best, to perform at my best, to get up every morning early, work out, be in the best shape. Like I don't need that. I'm still motivated. I'm very grateful for Bryan and for Mick Foley to have that belief and to hope that. But I also understand that for some people, it's just not meant to happen, and I will not let that break me in any way, shape, or form for my principles and who I am.
Talk about Bryan.
You don't need to have a belt or whatever you want to call it to be a champion.
For sure, 100%. We talk about Bryan being at the top of his game, Jon Moxley the same. I will honestly say the same for you, and I'm not just blowing smoke. I have said this on I do the Collision post show on Fightful as well. I have said this on multiple occasions. You are my favorite person to watch in the ring when you're cooking, especially when you're going full head of steam and you're just delivering those uppercuts and you're running around like a madman. It is an absolute joy to watch. And I feel like, for me personally, I feel like you are doing the best in-ring work of your career right now. Do you feel that same way?
Yes. Because also if I wouldn't feel that way, I would probably think about quitting. I always said that I want to be the best version that I can be right now, and my focus is to be the best version tomorrow, and that comes to every single match, that comes to every single promo, that comes to every single time I'm on TV. I want to be the best that I can be that given day. I think John Cena said it once to me. He said, "You're only as good as your last match," and I very much believe that, and that's very much how I approach every single match. Every single match I want to be proud of, and I feel I owe that to the people who follow my career, and I owe that to every single person tuning in for the first time or for the 100th time, that when I'm in the ring, they just know they're getting the best consistently.
It wasn't your last match, but man, I look back at the Continental title match that you had with Kazuchika Okada, and I am immediately like, okay, well, let's run that back tomorrow. And we saw on Dynamite last week, you might have been staring him down here a little bit. What did you assess of that match that you got in there with Okada one-on-one? You go to the 20-minute draw, and how much are you champing at the bit here to get back in the ring with him again?
I mean, very much. I feel like it was a great test for me, because I wanted to lure out the real Rainmaker, the one that I've been watching for a long time, and I feel like it showed AEW fans what Okada is all about. If they haven't seen it yet, I feel like Bryan, did the same last Wednesday on Dynamite, and I have no doubts that on the right day in the future, I'll take the Continental Championship right off.
I'm looking forward. Let's just extend that time out. Instead of 20 minutes, let's make it 60. Let's just you can make it 2 hours. We'll just do an entire Dynamite of Okada and Claudio, and I'd be a happy guy.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I do think 20-minute time limit is the perfect amount for that championship. Okay. It's the perfect amount for the Continental Classic, paying homage to that tournament. And it also, I feel it adds another layer to that championship. I mean, it makes it even harder to win, right? Because if you're the champ, you can just stall it out, as Okada so wisely demonstrated. So it makes it harder to win, but it also makes it so much better when you do.
You talk about adding layers. AEW just continues to do that seemingly every week now. There's always new talent coming in through the door. We've had Ricochet, we've had MVP, Shelton Benjamin, potentially Bobby Lashley on the horizon here. It feels like the last 2 years in pro wrestling has been more like the college football transfer portal. Just have dudes and girls just bouncing back and forth. you have been, like I said earlier, been in AEW for over two years now. But what was the biggest adjustment for you coming in personally to a new company, a new landscape, and for a lot of people, adapting a new persona? They knew you as somebody completely different when you came over to AEW.
I feel for me, it was easier because I immediately went to Blackpool Combat Club and I had my friends around me. So I immediately felt at home. Looking back, I probably still adjusted for way longer than people think. I feel I'm still adjusting. I'm still evolving, which I think is very important. But to me, it fit right in as soon as I started, and I feel like that made me very happy because it just proved that I'm as versatile as I try to be.
There are some people who come in and it just seems like it's a match made in heaven. You were one of those guys. I think Ricochet has come in and set the world on fire since he first showed up, and it's like really feels like he belongs there, doesn't it? What do you assess of what he's done so far since coming in?
I feel he has done really well since he came in. Obviously, he had some spectacular matches. The true test of time, the true test will be the test of time. But he's an extremely talented guy. I've been in the ring with him a lot, probably again in the future. So I feel it's a very exciting time for wrestling fans.
All right. Any final thoughts on this special Tuesday edition of Dynamite tonight and this big tag match against Bryan and Yuta?
I mean, again, you never want to miss a Dynamite, and especially I feel AEW when it runs at not its usual time slot. Like, we're not running Wednesday, we're running tonight, we're running Tuesday. It's Title Tuesday, so you never want to miss those. And if you're a fan of Bryan Danielson, you definitely want to tune in, because it will, let's be honest, will most likely be his last match on national TV. So definitely recommend joining. And
man, just
keep
taking that dagger and just shoving it in and twisting it, man. Just breaking people's hearts left and right. You are right now.
It's I feel in this day and age, it's easier to tell a lie than the truth, because people either don't want to hear it or they attack you for it. So I figured I'll let you guys know. This is, if you're a fan of Bryan, tune in today, because there may not be a next week.